The absolute first thing you need to do always is pause the game. After which, you just need to zoom out a little bit and take a look at the map. We need to identify the location of nearby berries, which are these over here, and trees that you can harvest. Set up a path that your beavers can take, lay down a single gatherer flag and a couple of lumberjack flags next to the trees. Go into the cut trees menu and mark a tree cutting area, which can basically be everything. Depending on the difficulty settings that you start with, the forager is going to make the difference between life and death for your colony. This is because you don't really have any other food source right now. Right now is also a good time to click on your district center and increase the number of workers over there. However, you should probably give them a lower priority. These are the workers who are going to be building everything in your colony, so the more you have, the faster everything will get done. Thanks to the lower priority, however, if there is any other job available, the workers will just go do that instead. Next up, we need to provide water, because once again, depending on your difficulty setting, your colony might not start with water. Identify a decent location for a water pump, and keep in mind that you can flip it horizontally to change where the entrance is. Now while your workers work on that, you need to zoom out and find a nice and decent place for your farm. We're going to be doing this over here, because as you can see, there's a blockage right here, which if we clear up, then all of this place will fill up with water, extending this irrigation further outward. So we're going to extend our road downward over here and make ourselves a farmhouse. Next up, we're going to plant some carrots. How many carrots? If you're unsure about the number of carrots you need, then around 100 are more than enough. At the bottom of your screen, you're able to tell how many tiles you're placing. So this over here is 80 and this is 20, which adds up to 100. Now your water pump should be working by the end of the day. However, it is a smart idea to increase your working hours at least at the start of your colony. It's not like they have anything better to do, so they might as well keep cutting down trees, you know? Now it's probably going to take your beavers a short while to gather enough wood for your farmhouse. However, as soon as it's done, you need to shift your focus on building a dam. Now we could build a dam up here as well, but during a drought, all of this area would dry up, killing all of our crops as well. So your dam needs to be in a location where the water will keep irrigating your crops. So we're just gonna build it over here. Make sure that your beavers can actually pass to it and over it, because the dam also acts as a bridge, letting you cross over to the other side. Now during the early game, you don't need 3 workers at your farmhouse. So depending on your situation, it might be smart to lower the number of workers over here, especially after all the crops have been planted. Now the dam is going to take a few days to finish, and you can do some things to speed it up. For example, our main bottleneck is logs. So we could place some extra lumberjacks and cut down more trees. This one over here is going to be close to the dam, so the builders don't have to walk all the way to these ones to grab wood. Now as soon as your dam is done, your next objective is to fix up your water situation permanently. For that, we're gonna build one more water pump, which should be more than enough for all of our needs, and we're gonna build some small tanks spread across the colony, ideally near dense workplaces. But you know, we don't have any dense workplaces right now. As soon as you see that all the berries have been harvested, you can just turn off your gatherer flag, or just delete it altogether. This is because berries are not really a good food source, and your carrots are probably pretty close to being harvested. There we go. Now that our colony is ready to face the first drought, we can focus on science. For that, you can build an inventor or two and just let them work, because your next objective is the forester. However, the forester needs planks, and in order to get planks, you need a lumber mill. Before we actually work up the tech tree and get ourselves some lumber, we need to make sure that our population doesn't, fall off. We are currently playing the folktales, and we need to provide them housing in order for them to maintain their population. We, however, are going to limit ourselves to 15 beavers right now. So that means we need to make 5 lodges, because each of these lodges can hold 3 beavers. So just lay down the foundations for those lodges and let your beavers work on them. Keep in mind that you need to avoid overpopulation, because more beavers means that they're gonna drink more water while also eating more food. Now as soon as the houses are done, your next aim should be to grab yourself a lumber mill. But the lumber mill needs power. And while the water wheel might seem like a very decent idea, it needs a lot of logs. And during the early game, the power wheel is a decent solution for all your needs. Keep in mind though, that until the lumber mill is done, there's no point in keeping a beaver employed at the power wheel, so you can safely turn it off. And as soon as the lumber mill is completed, turn on the power wheel, so that you can start making some lumber. Now the reason we needed lumber and the inventors and everything is for this one building, which is the forester. The forester, as the name makes it obvious, will be the person who's gonna be planting trees for you. So place down a forester for yourself, and we need to talk about the trees. here is everything that the forester can plant. They can plant you berries, which are these over here, dandelions, which you're gonna need later on in the game, these birch trees over here, which basically give you 1 log in a week, these pine trees, which do give you more wood, however you kind of need them for the pine resin. You see how some of them are gooey? Yeah, that's a resource that your beavers need. Chestnut trees, which are actually for food, maple trees, which are actually for maple syrup, and finally, oak trees. Oak trees are hands down the best tree in the game and are the trees that you should be planting, except in very desperate situations where you might need a handful of logs really soon. The first harvest will take a while, however, if you plant enough of them, you are never going to be running into any problems at all. And finally, as soon as the forester is done, your beavers are gonna start planting the baby oak trees. And this is when you need to start worrying about storage. So, in no particular order, these are the storages that you need. You're going to need a warehouse to store carrots, and it's also a good idea to make a few large piles for logs and planks as well. And once more, a couple more small tanks, just distributed around your colony to do the trick. And by this point, you should be able to get rid of your other lumberjack flags, because most of the wood cutting is gonna be happening near the forester from now on. Now, as soon as your storage spaces are up and running, your next goal should be to raise your colony's well-being. For now, just a campfire and some rooftop terraces should be more than enough. Since you have a lumber mill now, staircases and platforms are now within your grasp, and you can finally start building vertically. There we go, that is the first drought over here. Our crops are perfectly fine, our water bottles are all full, and the colony will survive. Unfortunately though, if you just come over here and take a look at these beavers, yeah, they have chipped teeth. For this, you need to come under the well-being tab and place a teeth grindstone. Whenever your lumberjacks are cutting down trees, yeah, they can chip their teeth. So, every now and then, they need to sharpen their teeth again. Just a single one would have been fine over here, but hey, it's okay to overkill every now and then. Just make sure that you keep planting oak trees in whatever area you clear up. And while you're in the early game, keep in mind that you will need to micromanage your industry just a little bit. So for example, we have now paused our power wheel and the lumber mill because we don't really need more planks right away. Your next step once you've dealt with droughts should be to figure out a way to deal with bad tides, and for that you will need to go upstream so that you can divert bad tide water away from your main colony. But I've got plenty of in-depth videos covering exactly that, so we're going to skip that part and come straight to decorations. Decorations matter a lot in the early game, and what you need to do is make sure that you place at least the shrub and the lantern in a spot which covers both your campfire and the rooftop terraces. This will give you a decent well-being bonus, and you should be able to pick up some extra points by just placing rooftops in random places. Well-being is important because it makes your beavers work faster. So basically, you can get a lot more done with a lower population. Now, if you're interested in a hard mode playthrough of this map, then there's going to be a video on the screen right now where we survive, conquer, and eventually reclaim this entire map in what you can essentially call a guided playthrough. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!